Hi, welcome to the Gemara on Tetzai and Amud Aleph. We're starting 6 lines down from where the lines get wide. This is a review video for Unit 3, Sheet number 9, material that was learned in Chavruta and then presented in class. We're continuing in explaining the story, the part of Esther chapter 6, where Haman has to publicly honor Mordechai and lead him through the streets on the king's horse. Vayikra lefanav kach ya'aseh La'ish asher hamelech chafetz bikaro. Haman has to say, this is what is done to a man that the king wants to honor. That's the quote from the Megillah. Ki havanakit va'azil b'shvil edzibei Haman. As he left and was going down the road towards Haman's house, chazite barte zekaima ha'igra. Haman's daughter saw them because she was standing on the roof. Savra haiderachi vavuha v'haidemaske kame Mordechai. So she thought the one that is riding was her father, because she, like her father, expected him to be honored. And the one who was walking in front of him, the one who was leading him, she thought was Mordechai. Shakla atzitza de beit hakiseh v'shaditi aresha de'avua. She took the chamber pot from the bathroom and threw it onto the head of her father. Dali ene, he lifted his eyes, v'chazit de'avuahu, and she saw that it was her father. Nafla me'igra la'ara v'meta. She fell from the roof to the ground and died. And this is why the story continues. Vayashav Mordechai al Shar HaMelech. That's the beginning of the pasuk, that Mordechai returned to the king's gate. Amar Rav, so Rav explains, Amar Rav Sheshet explains, Shishav l'sakov v'latanito. He returned to his sackcloth and his fasting. That's what he had been doing before. And then the pasuk continues, V'Haman nidchaf al beito, avel v'chafui rosh. And Haman hurried back to his house in mourning and with his head covered. Avel albito, he's mourning about his daughter. V'chafui rosh, and his head is covered al she'iralo, because of what happened to him. He's got stuff from the chamber pot covering his head. Ve'yisaper Haman l'zera shishto l'chol avav v'gomer. This is Haman tells his wife and all his friends what happened. Kari lahu ohavav v'kari lahu chachamav. They're called those who love him, but later in the verse they're referred to as his wise people, chachamav. Amar Rabbi Yochanan, Kol ha'omer devar chochma, afil be'umot ha'alam, nikra chacham. This teaches us that anyone who says something wise, even if they're not Jewish, they are called a chacham. And since these people do actually give advice, that's their title. Im mizera ha'Yehudi Mordechai v'gomer. So this is the continuation. This is what they say to him. If Mordechai is from the seed of the Jews, or the seed of the Yehudim, you'll never be able to conquer him. Amrulai, they said to him, Imi shar shvatim ka'ate, if he came from other shvatim, yachaltlei, then maybe you could overtake him. V'imi shevet Yehuda Binyamin ve'Ephraim u'Menashe, but if he's from any of these shvatim, lo yachaltlei, then you're not going to be able to prevail over him. Yehuda, we know this about Shevet Yehuda, diktiv, because it says in Breshit, Yadcha be'oref oivecha, his hand is on the back of the neck of his enemies. This is the description of Yehuda and the blessings at the end of Breshit. Inach and the others, those other tribes, dichtiv behu, because it says about them in Tehillim, lifnei Ephraim u'Binyamin u'Menashe ora et kvoratecha. Before all of these tribes, your greatness, your strength is aroused. So God's not going to let those tribes be beaten either. Then the story continues. Ki nafol tipol lefanav. You're going to definitely fall down before him. Again, Haman's advisor is speaking. Darash Rabbi Yehuda bar Ilai. Shtei nefilot halalu lama. Why does it say nafal twice? These two fallings. Why? Right? Nafal tipol. Amrulo. They said to him, Uma zo meshulal afar. This nation is compared to dust. Umeshulal kochavim, and it's compared to the stars. Keshehen Yordin ad afar. When they go down all the way to the dust. Ukeshehen olin ad lekochavim. But when they go up all the way to the stars. So the downfall is emphasized because you really can't take them over once they rise up to the stars. Continuing in Esther, V'sarisei hamelech higiu vayavhilu. This is they come to take him to the party, and so it says the king's servants came to bring him to the party, and there was confusion. Melamed shehiviyuhu b'behilah. They brought him in confusion. Kinim karnu ani v'ani v'gomer. This is what Esther says to the king, right? Explaining what's wrong, right? My nation has been sold. Ein hatzar shoveh b'nezek hamelech, and the damage sort of isn't worth it for the damage of the king, or the enemy isn't worth it for the damage of the king. It's a hard verse to explain. Amralo, she said to him, here's the Gemara's explanation, this enemy isn't concerned about damage to the king. He doesn't mind damage to the king. Ikani Baba Vashti, Vikatla, he was jealous of Vashti and he killed her. Hashti Ikani Badidi Umibayla Miktale. Now he's jealous of me and he wants to kill me. He really doesn't have your best interest at heart, Achashverosh. So the king said to Esther, and it uses the word Vayomer twice, Vayomer Vayomer Lamali. Why do I need the word Vayomer twice in that verse? Amar Rabbi Abahu, B'tchila al Yedei Turgaman, Kevan Amra le midebeit Shaul Kalatina, Miyad Vayomer la Esther Hamalka. At the beginning, he was speaking to her through a translator, but once she said that she was from Beit Shaul, that she came from Kalatina, she came from Beit Shaul, then immediately he said right to Esther, the queen. So something about knowing that she was from royal lineage, he was then willing to speak directly to her. Apparently, he wasn't willing to do that beforehand, at least maybe not in public. Vatomer Esther, Ish Sarva Oyev Haman Hara Hazeh. And Esther said, this bad man, this bad Haman. Amar Rabbi Elazar, Melamed Sheheta Mechava Klapei Achashverosh, Uba Malach V'Satar Yadzak Klapei Haman. This teaches us that initially she was pointing to Achashverosh, and the angel came and pushed her hand towards Haman. And Rashi tells us we get this from the double language. Miribuya Talomed. Ish Sarva Oyev, she says like bad, he's bad person, and then Haman Hara Hazeh. And only then does she say it's Haman, so that teaches you that an angel intervened. Initially she was going to blame it on Achashverosh, who also is arguably to blame in this, but the angel intervenes. So the king gets really angry, he goes out, and then he comes back in. Meki Shiva Lakima. The psukim connect his returning to his getting up and going out. Ma'kima b'chema, av shiva b'chema. Just as when he gets up to go out, he's angry, so too when he returns, he's angry. Ta'azal va'ashkach l'malachei hashar te'idmu le'legavre. Because when he went out, he saw angels, but they looked to him like men. V'ka'akre le'ilane debustane. And they were uprooting the trees of his garden. V'amar lahu, ma'yuv daichu. And he said to them, what are you doing? Amrulei, they said to him, Dipaktinan Haman. This is what Haman told us to do. Atalavete, the Haman nofel hamita. And then he came into his house, and Haman was falling. So the uprooting the trees made him angry. And then he comes into his house, and Haman is falling on the bed, falling on the sort of couch that the queen is lying on, that Esther is lying on. Nofel, nafal mi baile. Why does it say nofel in the present tense? It should say nafal. Rashi makes this even clearer. Nofel is lashon oseh v'holech, means it's ongoing. Nofel v'rotzeh lizkof v'hamalach mapilo. He had fallen, or he fell and he wanted to get up, but the angel comes and pushes him down and doesn't let him get up. Amar Rabbi Elazar, Melamed sheba malach v'hipilo aleha. This teaches that an angel came and pushed him down on her, so it would look really bad, and the king would be even angrier. Amar, so Achashverosh said, Vai mi beitza, vai mi bara. It's like, woe unto my house, woe unto the outside. Like Haman is doing terrible things both in and out of my house. Vayamar hamelech. So the king says, Hagam lichboshet hamalkai mi babayit. Are you also planning to conquer the queen, overtake the queen with me in my house? Right? Like how much worse can things get? And then the pasuk eventually continues, Vayomer Charvona. Right? Charvona gives this helpful suggestion about hanging him. Amar Rabbi Elazar, Af Charvona rasha be'ota etzahaya. Charvona was also bad and was also in on the plot to kill the Jews. But when he saw that the suggestion, meaning that plot, would not be fulfilled, like it's not going well for Haman and his crew, miyad barach, he immediately runs away, meaning he flees to the other side. He decides to support Mordechai. V'hainu dichtiv, v'yashlech alav lo yachmol miyado, beruach yivrach. A pasuk from Eov, so not in context actually about this, but is interpreted here as being related. The verse from Eov is, let's see if I can find the verse from Eov. It hurls it, it throws at him, and does not have mercy, and he wants to run away from its power. So Rashi explains HaKadosh Baruch Hu mashlich paranutz al harasha bli chemla. God throws bad stuff at bad people without mercy. So he immediately miyado beruach yivrach b'nei siyato v'charav bruchim miyado. The accomplices and friends immediately run away. And that's what happened with Charbona. He defected to the other side. V'chamad hamelach shachacha. And the king's anger was abated. So shtei shechichot halalu lama. Why does it sound like there were two abatements? Because it should just be like shacha. Achat shel malchos olam, ve'achat shel Achashverosh. One was God's anger dying down, and the other was Achashverosh, similar to what we had with Nadash Nat HaMelech, where it's interpreted to be about God and about Achashverosh. Ve'amrila, and others say, achat shel Esther ve'achat shel Vashti. One anger they're both about Achashverosh, but one was his anger over what happened with Esther, and the other was his anger over what happened with Vashti, because both can be attributed to Haman. Okay, we'll stop there. That's the end of sheet number 9.